Yesenia.
Mm-hmm.
I told you that she fired somebody.
Yeah.
Right? And she goes, managing people is so stressful. And she goes, look at your hair. Look how much gray you have in your hair. Now I know why Josh is bald. Because he's been managing people for way too long.
Dude, the bigger we get, the faster it fucking comes in gray. Like,
I
it's just like
know.
this. It is stressful.
Oh my
It is
gosh.
stressful.
Yeah.
That's all right. Let's shut it down. We're just going to shut it all down
Shut it all down.
and go back to just being Chuck in a truck.
Ooh.
Now I wear flip-flops. I can imagine it now.
You said you're going to wear
There's me
flip-flops and shorts?
sitting on a beach, which is just a sand box in my backyard with the neighbor's cat poop in it. I'm in this kiddie pool with a straw hat. I got my Mai Tai, which is just a Corona light with a lime. Ring, ring, ring. Chuck in a truck. Emergency call. You've reached us after hours. Please leave a message after the tone. Beep. That's what's going to be. Oh, it's going to be so peaceful. Chuck in a Truck Electric. Chuck in a Truck Services. Chuckinatruck.com.
Services?
Do you know I own that domain?
Chuckinatruck.com.
Chuckinatruck.com.
Golly.
Or is it chuckandatruck.com? Which one do I own? Chuck and a Truck. Might be Chuck and a Truck.
I'm going to go buy the other one.
Do it. I'm making a board game called Chuck and a Truck. Yeah. I don't really know what it's about yet, but it's pretty much about becoming a technician and then ending up owning your own business, pulling all your hair out, being gray, and reverting back to and seeing how many gray hairs you can get as you want.
How fast?
Yep.
Yeah.
How many 1-star reviews on Glassdoor can you get? We're going to talk today about client expectations, like things to ask, right? Just as it says on the screen, things to ask about your estimate. Things to ask about your estimate. So thinking about the things to ask about your estimate. Marcus, what do you think those questions would be?
Does this estimate include that thing that we didn't talk about?
Right?
Do you have any discounts that I qualify for?
Okay. I like that.
Right?
Yeah. Is there an expiration date for this estimate? Right? What if you get in there and it doesn't work out the way you planned?
Right? Yeah, for sure. Because it doesn't sometimes.
It definitely doesn't sometimes.
Doesn't sometimes.
What else? Let's tackle them as we go, shall we? You can tell we were very prepared for this one.
Yeah.
We have airtime that we have to, our fans need us. We need to shoot more film.
Do this
All
for
right.
you.
Is there an expiration date on your estimate?
There is 100% an expiration date on our estimates.
Okay. What is your expiration date currently?
7 days.
Wow.
Yep.
That puts a little pressure on the client to make a decision.
It also is because things change.
Well, we haven't really changed it since COVID, but at one point it was 3 days.
Yeah.
Like here, you remember at the height of COVID, the whole fucking thing was like, it was going from $100 in parts to $500 in parts to $1,000 in parts, and you had no idea when those parts would be available.
Yeah.
We're like, you got to make a decision right now, or I'm moving on with my life.
And that estimate kind of like sits there, right? How many times have you had a customer accept an estimate 6 months after that original? Like, they're like, okay, I'm ready to go move forward for this.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I've had them 2 years from now.
Right.
2 years from later, they'll be like, all right, we're ready to move forward. Can you start tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's an emergency.
Mhm.
I need it fast.
I need it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. That's a different estimate just in general
Right.
if you need it done tomorrow.
A lot of times, the larger estimates I give typically take a longer time.
Mhm.
That's just how it works. So you give a $50,000 estimate. 2 years later, they decide to spend $50,000, and by that time, it's at $70,000 now.
Right.
COVID, it was at $170,000.
Yeah.
It went from $50,000 to $170,000.
I have a couple $1 million plus estimates out right now, and I expect those things to take like 3 years.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, they're going to take a long time.
Okay, so if I sign within the 7 days, which we're going to be changing that back to probably 2 weeks, 14 days or whatever. If I sign within then, will my price change after I sign?
No, if the scope of work is accurate.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
if we get into your wall or into your attic and something's different or something happens and we have to do more, we'll have that conversation with you the time that we find it, right?
Right.
The time that we're aware of it, and we'll have that conversation with you then. But if the scope of work of the estimate is correct, then your price won't change.
Right.
If you accept it in the 7 days.
And we do that usually, depending on what we worry about, is like product availability. So buying the product is number one. So when we think about locking in a price, we need to buy the product for your job because
sure.
we're taking the risk on the labor. So we usually ask for money down to do
Deposits, yep.
that. And then we'll ask for payments and installments in certain increments. And those vary depending on the project, the scope of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, if I came into your office and said, I'm going to put you wanted a TV here, I'm going to put a real step there, and I go, okay, yeah, I'm going to make some assumptions that this is a 2x4 frame, metal stud top plate, and the ceiling is accessible. And then the tech gets over here, pushes the ceiling tile, and finds that it's glued to a concrete from upstairs, and this is concrete.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a change in cost. One, because we can't do it the way we thought we would. And two, it's impossible, right? So some things are impossible. So we're going to have that conversation with you like, all right, well, we can't do that, but we can do a surface mount, surface mount. Maybe you can paint it to match, right? There are other things that we can do.
Yep. And from there, we can do a few different things, right? We can have our technicians switch to a time and material basis. Like, this is how we can do. Our technicians can talk to the customer and say, all right, this is kind of how we can do this.
Right.
We can switch to a time and material basis. This is the rates, right? Just whatever, how long it takes us to get your project done plus the material costs, right? We can always re-estimate something, right?
Time and material usually going to save you money.
Time and material is usually going to save you money, and it's the way that the technician can also start right then while he's at your house already.
Right, 100%. So, number one, what is an estimate, right? Maybe you should ask that. What does estimate mean to you, to the company you're buying from? An estimate to me is just a ballpark. It's an estimate. It's typically an accurate number if all things go perfect.
Yeah.
Right? But if they don't, I mean, I've had situations where I thought it was going to take 4 days to do X, and it took 1, then we lower our price.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's just...
And that estimate that you're signing is a contract between you and us, right? You as the customer and us
that's
as
why
the
they
contractor,
call us contractors.
right? If you have a sales guy out there that says, yes, we can do that for you. Yeah, we'll just throw that in. Yeah, we'll do this. Make sure that it's revised. The estimate, the contract is revised so that you know you're going to end up with that on the back end because it's in writing. It's there. It's going to get done.
Yeah, your expectations, any expectation you have should be written down.
Yeah.
Whether you had a conversation or not should be in the estimate. So let's say I buy a battery system from you. And my expectation is the battery's going to come on in the morning during my on-peak utility hours and help with the peak shaving, and then turn off during off-peak. And then when I come home from work, it's going to turn on again during the second off-peak. Like, those are my expectations are in my mind, and maybe even discussed with the sales guy, like, oh yeah, this can do these things. The battery can peak shave.
Yeah.
And in your mind, you heard, oh, it can peak shave.
It can do this.
Both peaks.
Yeah.
Or all the peaks. Or any peak, right? whatever you're worried about, whatever you think you're buying, have your estimator put it in the scope of work, because your expectations are not the same as the estimators.
No.
Typically, maybe 50-50, right? I mean, I'm pretty good. I've been doing this a long time. I understand expectations, and I provide a detailed scope of work, and that's number one. If your expectations are X, Y, and Z, it needs to be written down X, Y, and Z. If you're buying 4 can lights, your estimate needs to say 4 can lights somewhere. If you're buying 1,000 light bulbs or 1,000 replacement fixtures in a grocery thing, like it should say 1,000 fixtures. It shouldn't just say replace all fixtures.
Yep.
All fixtures where?
For sure.
And what if the contractor's going to come to you and say, well, I didn't see that back room.
Where?
You said all fixtures.
Where, what fixture you're getting, like what light you're getting. Like you want
Right.
to have some details in there, because you don't want people switching things on you or doing something that, they shouldn't really do, or have a salesperson tell you one thing and then it's not in there and it's not going to get done.
Well, what if I only want to do half of the work? Let's say you've got an estimate that's got 7 line items and I only want to do the 3.
Okay.
Are those prices good just to do 3? What if I pick 3 line items that were $50?
Right. So certain things inside of ours, we have minimums,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have minimums. We do that so that we can pay for actually running a real legitimate business, right? It's the trucks, it's the insurance, it's the taxes, it's everything that we have to do as a business. Now, if the line items you're choosing, some of them may be built as far as like, oh, we're on site doing something already, right? This is going to take us a little longer with this much material. We're on site already. So you got to work through that with your estimator.
Yeah.
As far as whether or not we can do this line item by itself, or whether or not it
Right.
was based on already being on
Right.
site.
If you have let's say you have a broken breaker in your panel, commercial, residential, doesn't matter. Just say the toggle busted off,
Mhm.
right? If I'm there running a circuit from point A to point B from somewhere else, and I've got the panel open, and I know that all I got to do is replace that breaker, I may throw it in at, whatever,
Whatever the
the
cost.
most minimum amount, right?
Yeah.
10 minutes with the cost of the breaker because I'm doing it already.
Yep.
But if that line item is $20,
Mm-hmm.
and you go, I don't really want this line item, I just want this, I want you to replace my breaker for $20, I'm going to say, I'm sorry. We have a 2-hour minimum,
Mm-hmm.
which covers plus material. So you're going to get charged the 2 hours. Currently it's $130 an hour. So you're at $260 plus the charge of the breaker. So now you're at almost a $300 call versus that $20 adder. So the more items you can add to your bid, the more you're going to end up saving. Just know that there's going to be a minimum charge. So if it doesn't say it on the estimate, you need to ask, is there a minimum charge?
Yeah.
So that you can make a decision on those line items of which ones you want to choose. What else can we ask about your estimate?
Discounts,
Right.
right? Are there any discounts
No.
for X, Y, and Z?
No discounts.
The answer is always no if you don't ask.
If you don't ask. I know,
For sure.
I used to say that all the time.
For sure.
So now that we've established no discounts, can I tip? Yes, the answer is yes. You can tip. You can tip the technician in words of wisdom. Give them a tip. Say, hey, next time you come into my house, don't walk through the mud and track it all over my carpet.
Right?
That's a great tip to receive.
Right? Don't walk through the yard. There's landmines in there.
That's funny. Yes. So we have some options. Like we have a membership,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we have a residential electrical defense membership, is what we call it, Club Red. And if you're a member of that, if you're a member of our Club Red, you get a 5% discount on electrical services.
Yep.
Which could be substantial depending on how much you're doing. A panel change can range anywhere from, $3,000 to $20,000,
Yeah.
even more dependent on what's involved on the utility side that you're responsible for.
For sure.
So you think about our membership costs $150. If you're doing a $10,000 job, it's paying for itself.
Yep. In one project.
One project, right?
So discounts. Might as well ask what the contractor has.
Yeah.
Right.
Are there any
discounts? Qualify. Sometimes there's military discounts, or sometimes there's membership discounts like ours.
We don't have a military discount.
We don't have one.
But I know other contractors that do.
Yep.
So ask about discounts.
Yep.
Ask about opportunities. Ask about if you're there to quote one thing, say, if I throw in something else, can we work out a discount on going through both of them? Or hey, here's one we've done before. I've been to a house, they wanted a generator. The guy goes, my neighbor's interested in a generator too. If we buy them both together, is there a discount? And I said, absolutely, I can work on something as far as buying in bulk.
Yep.
Right? You got to ask.
Yep.
The answer's always no if you don't ask.
For sure.
Time frame, right?
Time frame.
Not often do I put on a time frame in my estimate, but we contractors live and die by scope, the scope of work. So making sure everything's written down to your expectations of what you're doing.
Yep.
The schedule, how long is it going to take?
Yep.
Right? Typically, we just tell them, yeah, it would be a guy, a couple days, maybe more. Unless it's a longer project, we'll give some associated hours or weeks and months, especially if there's lead time. If I got to order something that's got, like some of these panels for commercial locations are over a year, right? So you sign today, we can start the work over a year from now. It's crazy. And then budget, how much is it, right? So scope, schedule, budget. If you're a contractor, and if you're a contractor watching, those are the three things you need to manage for the customer: scope, schedule, budget, and for yourself. So it's going to make that your new go-to phrase. Is it on scope, schedule, budget?
Yeah, you just got to manage those expectations.
Scope, schedule, budget. So does it have the scope that you want? How long is it going to take?
Yep. And when? We're 2 weeks out.
And when can you start?
Right. If it's something we don't have to order material, we still have a schedule.
Right. Can we do some of it now until the rest of it come in? Can we prep? Yeah, 100%. And then the budget. Like, be clear on how much it costs. Don't think to yourself. Also, if there's a line item, if you're buying a line item and there are 6 of them, say if I'm doing can lights, same thing goes. If you decide to do 2, there's minimum charges. Like, there are things that we do. So clarify everything you can before you sign a contract. And then make sure, are they asking for a deposit? Because we want to make sure that the work is moving forward so that you can stay within that estimation window. So we have currently a window, 7 days. We've got people that say, hey, 4 months later they want to move forward. They send us a PO. So we'll review the quote. We'll look at it and say, is this good? We'll say, yeah. If it's good, it's good.
Yep.
We'll move forward. If it's not, we say no.
For sure.
And we got to get a new estimator out there to revise. If it was somebody, like in our system, and our policy is, if somebody estimated the job that doesn't work here anymore, like in our estimate exclusions are, hey, valid for 7 days and on the approval of the original estimator. So if somebody doesn't work here anymore, it's got to be rebid. Even if it's in the 7 days, right? Like no matter what.
Yep.
So that's what we got.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.